education is one of the most important weapons in a country. And the extent to which black education is neglected is something very difficult to put in words. Education is
Hey, so how's it, guys? Welcome back to Freedom FANatics, where your freedom is worth fighting for. Today, I'm very excited. We've got a new face on the show. And guys, this is the brain box. This is the writing machine at FAN. Chris and Seymour. Guys, welcome to the show. It really is such a great time to have you guys on, because you guys have been very busy writing and sharing your thoughts at freedomadvocacy.net. Guys, so today, to start off with on the show, we're going to discuss education. And this one the story that we're going to chat about to kick things off comes from the Mail and Guardian. And it is titled, "Youth Lose Out Because Many Schools Don't Offer Maths and Science." Now, the article goes on to kind of highlight the worst that our education seems to offer. And they sort of headline with the fact that in 2021, more than 1,100 schools did not write science or maths in 2021. And of the Matrics, the article goes on, who did write the exams in 2021, only 23% scored above 50%, and 27% got 50% or more for science. Now, this is obviously for the National Senior Certificate. Now, guys, this is obviously alarming. Chris, I don't know if you know, I had my own struggles with maths in school, but nonetheless, it was quite an important thing to go through. How much of a problem is this really for South Africa? You know, people not going through the system and coming out with a veritable sort of maths qualification.
I think if we don't have the basis of maths and science, then all your technologically oriented career paths are sort of cut off. And if you don't have the necessary skills for those career paths, have your employees are at a disadvantage compared to, say, for example, for the rest of the world, where we see those with the most advanced economies have high rates of students who pass with maths and science, and they are going to basically in the race they're far ahead of us. So yeah, we're at a disadvantage with this low maths and science rates.
Absolutely. And I think, Seymour, one of the things that's quite concerning is, you know, we read about how South Africa's unemployment levels are among the worst, if not the worst in the world. And obviously, when you have these kind of educational outcomes, it's not really a surprise. And as Chris says, you know, we're just going to get left behind on the global stage.
Yeah. Actually, I agree with all of what Chris has said. And further, on the unemployment side, I can't imagine how this won't drive up unemployment, because you're pushing people away from technological subjects or learning areas. So that translates to pushing people away from technologically related careers. So everyone's being driven towards sort of like humanities. I can only imagine that industry as a whole, although there's plenty opportunities, there's plenty jobs, I can only imagine it being congested. And that's not good, because that'll land a lot of people out of jobs. There's only so much you can invent or innovate within one specific field. We've got to be as diverse as possible. And I can't believe that the one area we're not being diverse about is maths and science, because that's a crucial learning area. So it's a very, those are worrying numbers. You know, I read the article you sent this morning. Those are very worrying numbers, and we should be very concerned.
No, absolutely. And I think, Chris, I mean, obviously, these skills are crucial to any functioning economy, and also giving people a chance. And I'm not to say, I mean, I think math literacy was introduced when I was actually in high school, a few years before I got into high school. So it's by no means to say that mathematics, pure maths is a silver bullet, but it's certainly basic arithmetic and the likes are super important. But where do you think we're getting let down? What are some of the biggest obstacles that you think we face in our education system? And what, if you're president for a day, what is the one thing, or maybe you're Angie Mochecha for a day for your sins, what changes would you implement?
I'd go back to the basics, to teaching, and sort of teachers who, because that the teaching quality in South Africa is subpar, substandard, and I think that's where children struggle. Mainly, I know that the teachers and learners both have a role to play. They both have, and properly teaching is crucial to helping learners understand maths and science. And if they don't understand it properly, they won't be able to do it properly. So,
now, Simo, in the article, the author cites technology as being a potential solution, using online learning, maybe solving some of the issues around accessing quality teaching and the likes. But I guess that, that's all very well and good. But, we've covered on Freedom FANatics before, the issue of vandalism in schools, public libraries getting trashed. How are we going to learn when there's trash libraries and load shedding cutting off our technology? I mean, are we kind of shooting, kind of filling a broken glass here, an empty glass, water just dripping out? Is that a practical solution, or do we need to think a little bit more creatively, or maybe hold politicians a little bit more accountable and drive action that way? What are your thoughts?
Well, Alex, rather obviously, we are caught in a vicious cycle. All of the negative things are kind of just feeding onto each other. So, I mean, I think your question, although sounding simple, is actually rather complex, because we've got to address many areas all at once. We obviously do have to hold the government accountable. I mean, those are the people we have picked as our leaders, and they bear the brunt of making the crucial decisions that will turn things around for us as a nation. But I guess when faced with problems like these, as individuals, we should look inward. What are you doing to empower your child as a parent to be as productive as a learner as he or she can be? So I guess once we get it down to just individuals doing their part. Now, I don't know how you teach that on a grand scale. I don't know what solutions I could probably advise, but I've always looked at, when you're faced with a bigger issue, think of it simply. So my simple way is, you look at the individual as a parent. What do you want for your child? What are you doing to ensure that you get what you want for your child? And then as that child, you've got to instill in the child that you've got to want certain things and you've got to work in a certain way to get those things. So I guess train the individual. Does that answer you?
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
100%. No, I think that's such a good point. I think, starting at the home, I mean, I don't think any of us here have children. We have been children before, of course. But Chris, any last thoughts? What kind of a society would you want to raise your kids into, ensure that they do pass maths and science? Any sort of glaring things, as we maybe look towards 2024? What are the kind of things is this something that should inform people's votes when they look to the ballot boxes in 2024?
Absolutely. As a parent, I think you'd want what's best for your child, and if your child is getting a poor education, I'm pretty sure that will go to the ballot box thinking that I want my child to have the best future possible. And if I vote differently, if I vote for a different party, maybe that party will be able to deliver a better education for my child, and maybe not brag about a good matric pass rate when things aren't really that good.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we know Angie Macheka loves a good grandstanding in January when she reads out the matriculants, but results. But you know what? Let's celebrate the successes where they come. But guys, let's move along to our second topic for today, which is actually we've discussed it on and off on Freedom FANatics in the last little while. We've had a large focus on the township economy, you know, the informal sector, you know, people making the most out of the free market where they are, you know, getting themselves and their families a fighting chance. And now, Simo, this is an article that you wrote actually a month ago now. 6 reasons why there's big business in small business. Now, Simo, do you want to just give us some of the if someone had to take away something from this piece, I'll give it over to you. What is the one takeaway that you would want people to come away from reading this piece? And obviously, we'll go through it after that.
I think that where you're at, so of course, in this context, it's the township, but it's wherever you're at, you know, you can make a change from within there. You don't have to find a fancier place. There's work to be had in rural areas. There's work to be had in township areas, and there's great development to be experienced within there. That's how you create suburbs. The suburbs we have now weren't suburbs back then. You know, they began quite small, and you build and you build and you build, and hopefully you get caught up in a more positive chain reaction than the one we got for education earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can see obviously how, you know, just basic arithmetic and maybe even science to a degree really can even help on a small scale in an informal business. Now, Chris, one of the success stories that Simo highlights is a story about Spinach King. And Simo writes here that, you know, started off as a small township fresh produce business in the Western Cape, and they partnered with Standard Bank and became award-winning supplier to some of the biggest retailers, including Spar and Pick and Pay. So really, you know, if you have the zeitgeist, the passion, you know, or maybe the circumstances that demand of you to go out there and make a plan and start a business, you know, there are opportunities in South Africa to grow and actually expand a business and create something of immense value. What are your thoughts on the story of Spinach King?
I mean, yeah, Standard Bank, and they saw an opportunity to work with him, and what it's all about. There's opportunity in business, and the bank business needs to grow. Business is there to support families, to support households, and it's all about opportunity.
Absolutely, and taking those opportunities where they come. Now, Seymour, I'm going to give you the last word on this topic. You know, in your article, you say here, you know, you kind of you paint actually quite an exciting, quite a hopeful story, but you also flag one of the hindrances in creating jobs and creating a prosperous economy, and you cite the ever failing, to quote you here, the ever failing Black economic empowerment policies. How do you think getting rid of that or adjusting it can help small businesses like Spinach King, other role players in the township economy to actually get ahead? How does BE really hold them back?
Well, if you look at it this way, the township economy has come thus far and there's been no help. You know, there's been no state help, and the BEE has done so much wrong, and it's been nothing but state help from the beginning. So state assistance, let's use assistance. So if we redirected that assistance to these independent people who are trying to be contributors in the economy, who are trying to impact their communities positively, I think we'd achieve way better results than what we've achieved with BEE. So yeah, like I write there at like one of my final sentences, that government has missed the trick. I think they really have. You know, there's plenty potential in the township. There's plenty of potential where the people are trying, and they've been trying for years, and they do need help.
Yeah, exactly. Getting financial aid and assistance to where people really need it. I guess at the end of the day, not those politicians chowing nicely, or those in municipal offices slipping some brown envelopes under the table. But gents, I think let's just wrap up this segment of Freedom Fanatics with kind of sort of coming back a little bit to the education theme. And I was quite excited at the story, which comes from News 24, and this is to highlight the announcement from the educational app, the language app, DuoLingo, which now offers lessons and a whole course in isiZulu. Simo, you from the KZN. Surely, what are your thoughts? I mean, having more people learning, speaking Zulu could go a long way to helping cultural understanding, bridging gaps between the diverse country that we have. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, firstly, from a personal perspective, I'm in love with isiZulu being on DuoLingo. I mean, it's my language, so again, propping up my culture. So I love that. But from a multilingual perspective, I mean, it's nothing but positive news. I take it that isiZulu will be the first of many languages, and it's a better way to achieve this outlook we have on South Africa as being multilingual, multicultural. So more languages on DuoLingo help us better enhance that image, enhance that feeling of embracing of all diversity in South Africa. So yeah, excited about that.
No, absolutely. I mean, I've been using DuoLingo for many years now. I'm very excited to see that it's there. Chris, this is kind of this could do wonders. So, stepping into where, if you think the billions hundreds of billions are invested in education in South Africa, I mean, this small free app, DuoLingo partnered with a South African company to get this curriculum up there. And in our first article we looked at, they say technological solutions. I guess this is where the rubber hits the road. I mean, this is the kind of stuff we should be seeing. Maybe we'll be seeing other languages coming out, maybe Afrikaans, maybe, isiXhosa, the likes. How important is this? Yeah.
It's very, very, very important, because it's communication, and we don't want to be left out if know how to speak it. We want to share cultures. We are a multicultural society. We are a multilingual society, and this is the way that we forge unity with each other, by learning and teaching and sharing.
Absolutely. Oh, it looks like Chris has been frozen out there. No language is coming through there. But Chris, I think we got the gist of your message. And I think this is quite an important issue to kind of consider alongside, issues of, people, a lot of shade being thrown at sort of language instruction in universities and the like. And I think, the more access we have to language, possibly the better. But guys, I think let's leave it there for now. Let's welcome in Bali to take us through this week's edition of Your Reactions.
Hey yo, hi guys, welcome to Your Reactions. Hi Alex, hi Chris, hi Simo, our esteemed writer. It's nice having you here.
Pleasure.
So guys, today we are looking at a TikTok video from one of our own, Mr. Poisons. And in this TikTok video, he's talking about the EFF who was singing a Kill the Boer, Kill the Farmer, and it's a fight whether it's hate speech or not. Let's give it a listen. today would be nice.
The Equality Court has ruled that the EFF's controversial chant, kill the boer, kill the farmer, is not hate speech. What are your thoughts around this issue? And let us know in the comment section below.
Alex, is it hate speech? Is it not? Maybe you can even give us context of what this case is about.
For sure. So the snapshot view is basically the case was about the singing of the Kill the Boer, Kill the Farmer struggle song, but in the context of where it was sung by members of the EFF in Senekal. At the time, there were some farm murders. Myself and Shodan actually were in Senekal when there was that court proceeding that went ahead.
The Equality Court has ruled that the EFF's controversial chant, kill the boer, kill...
And so that's the kind of the context that it was read in. I don't really know if I can pass judgment on the merits of the case. Seymour is our legal brain here, so maybe I could pass the baton over to him. But yeah, in summary, that's what the case was about, and the Equality Court ruled that it was not, in fact, hate speech on those grounds. But yeah, obviously it's a sore point for a lot of people. But yeah, as the 162 comments attest to.
They definitely do. Seymour, any comments on this case before you go into the comments?
First of all, no, I sort of have none, but it's very important for us to establish what is hate speech, like the definition. I do not have it, so that's why I've got nothing. If I could just get the definition for hate speech, I'd be well worth listening to.
Sure. Chris, I'll give that one to you. What is hate speech?
Oh, I don't know how I'm going to say this
without giving out some, few percentages of hate speech. Alex, do you want to help out there?
Yeah.
Chris, I think we need to if you can just turn off your camera, because I think your camera quality is making you lag a bit. But my understanding of hate speech is essentially as long as it does not amount to an incitement to violence or unfairly prejudice a certain group to the extent that it could amount to imminent violence or harm. So that's my very layman's understanding. It is a clause in our constitution, or in the Bill of Rights rather, sort of a limitation on free speech, if you will. But
definitely. Yeah. Thanks, Alex. Seymour, do you now have a comment? That was a joke.
Sort of. Oh, okay then. I choose to remain silent.
Oh no! Wow, I choose to remain silent. Cool, guys. I think let's go right into your reactions part. Kyle Abraham says this was shocking. The judge should be removed. Clearly, he's unqualified. Seymour, back to you. Is the judge who ruled this as not hate speech, is he unqualified?
Well, certainly not just because he gave that ruling. I mean, that's a separate inquiry with like separate requirements to be met. So because he was in a position to make that ruling, I would say he's properly qualified. I don't know how you snake your way up to the top, especially in the legal field. So it's not a question of his qualifications or her, or was it a him or her? We don't know.
Say they. Even if it's a him, you don't know how they identify, Alex. They. But yeah, okay. And then use that to something, man. He says, or they say rather, beautiful song. Let them sing it on a weekly basis for us. But strange, they just keep singing it and they do nothing. We are waiting. I'll assume they is let me not incite a hate speech as well. Alex, what do you think about this comment?
This is the beauty of the internet, is where you have no names or any markers of identity at all. So you can base your argument on entirely neutrally. It's hard to say, man. Look, I don't think in modern day context it really helps to sing it generally, I don't think it's the most unifying song to sing. I think in certain contexts, when in relation to its with the role that it played during the struggle against apartheid, then 100%. But I think like that, my whole problem with this is when this thing kind of surfaces, it becomes an us versus them, and then it's like who's us, who's them, and it just really it just sets us back. And I don't, and from polling that we've seen and numbers that we're familiar with about race relations in the country is that most people get along regardless of skin color or tone or anything like the hue, whether they're pink or purple. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think that's kind of what the problem with that kind of user's comment is. It does say like, oh, we're waiting for you, like people are waiting. And
who's we?
Yeah, who's we? Who's they? Like I don't like who subscribes to these camps. Yeah, it's not like Simo and I were arguing about Arsenal versus Chelsea before we started. Those are the teams that we're more familiar with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. But I do agree with you, Alex. It does set us back. It's like, why are we still having this who's we, who's us? Can they stop singing? Then we'll sing it back. Do you understand? I think we have to get to a point where we move on. No one must shoot me. I'm just saying we need to move on. Next comment is from BC, and they say he instigates hate amongst his fighters. Even blacks hate blacks who are not in South Africa, all because of his agenda. We must pray for him. Simo, do you think Julius Malema is running a mini cult?
Well, he's using cult-like techniques. Like, this is how you would lure anyone to a cult. So yes, in that regard, of course he is. But in the main, I think he knows what he's trying to do. He's just trying to lure more followers. It's much easier if you're erratic, if you're eccentric. So he's doing his thing. He's doing his thing. And I guess from a freedom perspective, we have to respect that. But it is quite harmful. And those are the consequences of culthood. I'm not saying it's a cult. I'm just saying it has the markings of one.
Yeah, true. And then Toby Sintuli says the song is not hate speech. It never was. White people are trying to rewrite the meaning of the song the same way they rewrote Black history.
Now I have a big problem with that. Now I have a big problem with that. Like, if you just take the words, they incite zero positivity, like zero. There's nothing good you can even interpret from the song. So completely disagree, and I'll just stop there.
Yeah, no, definitely. Chris, what are your thoughts? Even though we can't see you, but you can share.
I mean, to Simo's previous point about the EFF being like a cult, Julius Malema hasn't faced a leadership election in 9 years. 9 years, and it's a very, very long time for a party that is operating in a democracy, is not acting very democratic.
Definitely. I think that's the reason why I highly doubt he'll ever be president, or his party would last for the next 10, 15 years. Don't see it happening. That's my prediction, guys. Mark my words.
We must bookmark this. It's September 6th. Bali said this. We're going to hold it. We're going to do a throwback episode in 10 years.
Wow.
I think
we'll play a clip.
Is, exactly, 100%. I think for me, the thing is, it's populist, but I mean, again, like for me, it all comes back to voting. At the end of the day, is this the kind of leader that you want? Are these the kind of, do you want to support a party or people who sing these kind of songs in modern day 2022 South Africa? At their political rallies, is if that's something that you aspire to, if those are the values that you cherish, then cool. All strength to you. I just don't know. Yeah, I mean, the EFF at the moment polls between 10 and 12%, and I don't know if there is more appetite for sort of kind of racially divisive use of of songs like these.
Definitely. And I think Paul can kind of agree with you, Alex, because he says, well, now that opens up is all sorts of old flag, name killing, race baiting, all in the name of freedom of speech. Mr. Weiss, is he saying what is he echoing what you are actually saying?
Yeah, I think, you know what, the thing is, freedom of the beauty is that because of freedom of speech, like singing the song is permissible. You know what I mean? It's obviously it's been judged on its merits in this case. I can't, you know, I haven't read the judge. I don't know the judgment well enough or have enough understanding of the law to make a judgment on that myself. But democracy does allow us to say things that might offend people, and that in and of itself is not enough to limit someone's speech. So, you know what I mean? I think it's good. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having these kind of discussions. And, you know, it's encouraged 162 comments on a single 15-second clip. So, yeah, I think it's just I think people do think about what kind of country they want to live in. And certainly one in which there is a freedom of speech to say and criticize. You know, we can comment and have our own views on this. It's so important for us. And that we mustn't, we mustn't throw the baby out with the bathwater when it comes to freedom of speech.
Yeah, definitely. Guys, I think we've come to the end of our segment of your reactions. Thank you so much for joining us. Do remember to catch this show every Tuesday at 6 p.m. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Do remember that your freedom is worth fighting for, and practice very simple freedom of speech, okay?